Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. This is one example of many I can provide you, where you have a person who asks for tolerance and flexibility from you and I, but it seems like in his heart he doesn't have such a thing. So that is very egotistical, too testicle as well, yes, in which this person right here, the transgender ex-Ukrainian military spokesperson, repeats threats to journalists. If you remember, somehow this individual made it to be the military spokesperson of the Ukrainian military in English. Somehow, I don't know how, came from overseas, just landed in Ukraine, someone pushed this person over there, that person became whatever, and little by little just showed its or his or she's, I don't know, her, I don't give a shit, true colors, her tolerance or his tolerance, whatever you wanna, I don't care the pronouns, okay? So if you remember, this person stated that Ukraine should assassinate Russian journalists wherever they find them on this planet, all over the world. And eventually, after about 5 days or 6 days after he posted this or she posted this garbage, someone says, hey, what are you going to do with this? And she finally got fired. It was not self decision like the Ukrainian military when this person made those statements. Oh, yeah, you know what? I don't think that's right. Come over here. You're fired. No. After about 5 or 6 days, there were some others that said, hey, did you hear your idiot over there saying what he says? What's going on with that? Shit, transgender is okay with fire. I don't know, man. So, let me show you. This person again said the same thing, and you're gonna see what kind of dark heart this person has. More or less. I mean, not that I'm a saint in that department, but it's not about me here. It's about this tolerant transgender. I'm not tolerant with idiocracy, okay? I'm not tolerant with lies. No, I'm not at all. And I'm all for truth. So if it's a lie, I'm not tolerant with that whatsoever. That's about right. But not with what this person says here. Just listen to this person. So Sarah Ashton Kirillo told Russian pranksters Vovan and Lexus that journalist Daria Dugina deserved to die. She was the journalist that this person did not agree with. She did not commit any crimes. If she was a propagandist, as they call her, Daria Dugina, the daughter of Alexander Dugin. Remember, she was killed in an assassination plot. Her car exploded. They claim, well, she was a propagandist. And what's a propagandist? Go and look at the definition, which I provided in a few instances. Loosely, is the person who just, promotes a certain kind of political ideology. Sometimes lie, sometimes doesn't, and so on. Well, these guys in CNN, I guess you can call them propagandists, or MSNBC, or Fox News. These guys are all, not all, but they push propaganda. So that means this guy has the right to eliminate them? According to these guys, yes. But no, because those guys disagree with what this person tries to push versus the other ones, she agrees. Therefore, she's okay with that. That shows you her values. Now, the former spokesperson for the Ukrainian Territorial Defense Forces insists that Kiev must use all the weapons at its disposal to target Russian journalists, including sabotage. The transgender American made the comments during several calls with Russian pranksters, Vovan and Lexus, who were pretending to speak on behalf of former Ukrainian President Pyotr Poroshenko. The calls are said to have taken place before and after Kiev fired a spokesperson last week following a scandal sparked by Ashton Kirillo's public threats to, quote-unquote, hunt down Russian, quote-unquote, propagandists around the world. So yeah, that's freedom of the press. So this tells you how much that person thinks and feels. The former official told Poroshenko, quote unquote, that Russian journalists such as Vladimir Solovyov and Olga Skabeva are, and I'm quoting, war criminals and quote-unquote terrorists who should not be allowed to hide, while applauding the assassinations of Russian media representatives such as Daria Dugina, who was killed in a car bombing in August 2022. That person, remember, was not fired the second she finished her sentence. No, 5 days after that. We have it here. I'm gonna show you the article here just to get the dates clear. Speaking to, and it says, Ashton Cirillo claimed that Dugina was, and I'm calling, evil. So she was evil. She didn't have anything positive. Like she's all good, I'm guessing, Cirillo, right? This is how these children think. Imagine that this person would have a position of power. What do you think will happen? Anyway, evil and I'm quoting, died the death she deserved. Okay, well, if you go like that, anyway, that means other people can do the same thing to you, you idiot, if you used this kind of norm. And that Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova should be prosecuted. Oh, I thought eliminated. Not Maria. No, Maria. Don't prosecute her. Well, okay. You have a long way to prosecute Maria. Don't worry. You tolerant, beautiful human being. Speaking of Russia as a nation, the former speaker said that, and I'm quoting, Russians are not Europeans, end quote, and they, and I'm quoting, come from the Mongols, end quote, and are, and I'm quoting, listen to this, part of people that want to be slaves and want to be led. Tolerant person right here. So that means the Mongols are people who want to be slaves and be led by... Anyway, because she said that they came from Mongols and part of group of people, they want to be slaves and want to be led. All right, this person was in charge of the propaganda or whatever, spokesperson of the Ukrainian military at the top. Elsewhere in the conversation with the pranksters, the former spokesperson revealed some issues plaguing Ukraine's forces, stating that there is a quote-unquote terrible problem with foreign fighters because they are just a step above mercenaries, end quote. Earlier this month, Ashton Cirillo pressured CNN into changing one of their stories to say, and I'm quoting, Western foreign fighters instead of mercenaries. However, despite publicly defending the foreign volunteers, the former spokesperson admitted that most of them go to Ukraine simply because they don't know exactly, they don't know anything except warfare, and that many of them are there to radical right-wing ideologies, with some openly supporting Nazism. That's what the Russians say. So Cirillo claimed that the presence of foreign fighters is proving to be a security risk and is detrimental to the morale of regular Ukrainian soldiers, explaining that ones who do it, and I'm quoting, for the money, are more inclined to abuse drugs and do things to enrich themselves. That's right, that's exactly how it is. Now let's go and see this one. So this was, what, on the 20th, right? And this... suspended on the 20th, but let me see the date here. So here it is. So this was on the 20th of September, and here we have last week warned that a favorite Kremlin propagandist would pay for their crimes, before declaring that Russia's war criminal propagandists will be hunted down and justice will be served. Justice will be So they waited for a week, or at least last week, a few days, to fire this tolerant transgender individual. You know, being a transgender doesn't really matter. You know, is a human being, and I don't think our worldview is shaped the way we, determine if I'm this or I'm that, or whatever I in the bedroom or in the bathroom or wherever that might be. I don't think that should create a worldview, or at least the values to be changed. Like, for instance, if you're a woman, you should not have the value of justice or the principle of love. or the value of love. I think we all have it regardless, or the reciprocity, the same thing. So I don't think, I mean, I'm 100% certain that if you're a transgender, if you're homosexual, if you're heterosexual, if you're a man, woman, a goose, whatever you are, you should have these values as general rules, not, situational, preferential, whenever I feel like I use it, whenever I don't. So obviously this person has lack of self-awareness, thinking that she or he is perfect since nobody else could apply the same rules she would like to see applied to others. Is so stupid she can't imagine that someone could think the same way about him or about her the way she thinks about others. No, you can't. Why? Because I'm good and she's evil. The same thing with this. Russians are evil, we are good. The same garbage that we've been fed for tens of years. Why? Because there's a few countries, normally only one, who's actually an Al Capone, lecturing everybody else with everybody's rights. But they had the Jim Crow and so on. Yeah, we or they, made sure they got rid of that. But they were still pointing their fingers right after that as if they were clean. Look at, for instance, with atomic bombs. They lecture everybody about atomic bombs, but they're the only ones who used it. And if you say, yeah, that's why we know, that was one argument I was fed and I stuck it in my ass, talking about this kind of things. When I said, well, that's why we lecture, because we know how it is, exactly how it is, because we used it. So that is so dumb, as if, let's say, a rapist should be in charge of delivering justice because he was a rapist, without being charged and convicted, by the way. Or that person should be the chief of police, the sheriff in town, because he knows how to without being punished for that. That's a stupid argument. But they use it. Go and speak with a few around. Why? Because they pushed it. And people, yeah, man, phew, now that absolved me from being part of this government, which actually that's them against us. When these guys will realize that, the problem is when you have values, you don't care if something is in your advantage, but it's unfair. Because you say, no, that's unfair, I refuse to take advantage of that. That's when you have a value. When you uphold a value or a principle that runs against you in a situation. Only then. Oh, you feel a little bit of pain, you throw away all your values, all your principles. Why? That means you didn't have any values. No, you have just situational, and that's not a value. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.